Okay, can you figure out the trend of your chart using an oscillator, an RSI? Is it possible? Yes, to a lot of extent it is possible, though you are using an oscillator. In this video, we are going to take a deep dive into my favorite oscillator, and I've never left it from the very first day of my career, Relative Strength Index. Let's take a look. Alright guys, we are on the daily chart of Nifty. I always try to stay within Heikin-Ashi charts. It gives me a lot of smoothness. So what are we going to do in this video is use an oscillator, RSI, to figure out the trend of the chart. Now prima facie it is, what are you saying? It's an oscillator, it's used for overbought, oversold. How can it give us the trend? For trend use an EMA, something else, directional. Yes, that's the logical way, but RSI can be used. It can be used. I am not saying it's inferior or superior. Towards the end, I can come up with a small tweak which I have experienced, which I had figured out. I will share the tweak with you towards the end. But first step, let's plot an RSI. Go to the indicators, type RSI, Relative Strength Index. A 14 period is fine. It's half of our lunar cycle, let's not tweak anything about it. But I am going to take this changes slow. Whatever changes I am going to make on my charts, I am going to make it slow and steady so that you understand. First and foremost, I am going to change my RSI to black. I don't need any average of my RSI. Regular bullish, regular bearish, whatever they mean, deselect it. RSI upper band, change it to 80. Middle band, keep it 50. In fact, I'll like it in red, and the lower band make it 80-20, that is 80 and 20, 80 on the upside, 20 on the downside. RSI background fill, I'm going to give it a green color, a bullish color. I'm going to, with this RSI, I want to figure out a bullish trend. Okay. Overbought gradient, do I need this? No, leave it. Okay. Step number 1, I have a 14 period RSI. I've changed 70 to 80, okay, and I think I've made a small mistake. Yeah, it should not be 20, it should be 40. Please, I stand corrected. It should be 80-40 and not 80-20. So I've taken 70 to 80, 10 points above, and I have taken 30 to 40, 10 points above. Central line is 50, that's my RSI number 1. Cool. Then what do? You come to these 3 dots. Which 3 dots? When you take your cursor close to the indicator, you get these 3 dots. Alright, you come to these 3 dots, click on it. As you click on it, you will get copy. Copy the whole thing and paste it. Okay, now we will rework on this new one. To rework on it, go to the settings, keep it black, don't do anything. Come here, the 80, change it to 60, the 40, change it to 20, the background, and this coloring is important. You would have seen in my previous videos or in my work, I don't command much on the colors that you will use, it's up to you. But over here the color is important, that's why I am paying attention to it. I am going to color it red. So, okay. Fine. So the second RSI, we have taken the 70 down to 60 and the usual 30 down to 20. So we have 2 RSIs. Now what I am going to do is I am going to plot the one below on top of this. It's going to overlap. How are you going to do that? Come again to those 3 dots, move to existing pane above. So existing pane is the green RSI, the green shaded RSI, and we are going to take it there. So now on my charts, I have 2 RSIs, but why are they different? Because both of them are RSI 14, isn't it? Because their scale are different. So once again, you have to go to the 3 dots, come to pin to scale. Which scale do you want the new one? That's what the software is asking. A, pin to scale A. Where did you see A? Yeah. This is the naming of that scale. This is the naming of the scale, just in case you didn't know. Pin to scale. Now you have one RSI. How do we make sense out of it? 14 period RSI as usual. You got a bullish zone, you got a green zone, looks clean. You got a red zone, looks clean, and you've got a central zone. And the central line is 50. Yeah. The rules. The rules are that when the RSI 14 enters the red zone, earlier it was in a green zone, from a green zone enters the red zone, this marks the beginning of a downtrend. Okay, so far so good. When will it go back to uptrend? Only from staying within the red zone or the grey zone. The moment it closes above the green zone, it can tell me that there is a bit of uptrend. Okay, looks good. So it slipped and now it's gone into a downtrend. Till this point, from this point, which enters into a downtrend again, to the current price, the entire situation is in a downtrend. I'll repeat, this time I'll repeat on a positive side, from a down to positive. Okay, from down to positive, I'll go back. So this market, which is here right now, is in a downtrend. Based on our RSI calculation, if the RSI goes into the green zone, if it closes in that green zone, and you can say, sir, last time it closed for only 1 day. Why not give it a filter? Okay, fine, give it a 2-day close or a 3-day close. Let it close above this green zone for at least 3 days. Then you confirm the chart is in an uptrend. Sounds good? So let's look at some examples from the past. So let's say this is where this was too much volatility because of the earnings. Yeah, this is fine, this is fine, this is pretty good. All this while the market was in an uptrend and just touched couple of times, right? So when from the red zone it closes for 2 to 3 days on the green zone, it goes into an uptrend. We can use examples of sectors which have in the past trended really well, will give us that clarity. See, this is CNX Auto, this is on the daily time frame, and if I mark this entire area, it has never gone into the red zone. So RSI is telling us, listen, you are in a pretty strong uptrend. When did this chart move into a downtrend? This we will not call it a downtrend, this we will call a downtrend, this. Does it match with the visual clarity of a downtrend? Matlab, if RSI has slipped below this level, entered the red zone, earlier was in a green zone, entered the red zone, stays below the red zone for three closing points. If I say that, listen, my RSI indicator is saying that I am in a downtrend, does it make sense when I take a look at the chart? Yes, it makes sense. That's what trend indicators manage to do, right? They tell you that the trend has corrected down. And as of now, it is in a downtrend. When will it move into an uptrend? When you have 3 closes, at least 2 to 3 closes. It makes sense not to go for just one close and get excited. Wait for at least 2 to 3 close in the green zone, bang on, you are in an uptrend. Now, I would suggest, rather than taking my word for it, exercise this, experiment, check with as many charts as possible if there is merit in this or not. I know if there is merit in this or not. But there is a beautiful thing, a tweak that I had done. When I use this, I use that tweak, and I am going to share this with you. It is going to act as pretty good supports and resistances. So what I have noticed is, rather than using 80 and 40, I like to use 33.3, and rather than using 60 and 20, I like to use 66.6. In other words, what my personal calculations tells me is give a little bit of a room to the 60, because resistance may spike up a little bit in a pullback, and same on the downside. So if you take a look at any chart, and this is a sector, so this is what, auto, we can take a look at something like Tata Motors and talk about past charts. Past, will stay in the past as much as possible. Yeah. And so you will see that many times when there are short-term corrections in a bull market, you will tend to see supports kicking in close to this red border, which is in the zone of 33 and 40. That zone of 33 and 40, this zone, is where you may get good supports. On the other hand, in the bounce backs, when the chart is in a downtrend, this chart is, we have to go to a downtrend, you will tend to see that when it goes towards that 66 mark, how much did it go to? This came to around 56, so it's close to that 60 mark. You will tend to see some resistances building up. This is a very good looking negative hidden divergence. I'll talk about hidden divergences later. So you can do this, you can give your RSI 14 if you want it. The way to read this, let me try and explain this to you. The way to read this is, let's say you are looking at a downtrend and the downtrend is offering you a bounce back. Of course, the first level will be 50. If it just can't even reach 50 and reacts, it's a sign of weakness. But if it goes towards that 60, 66.6 and on the downside it is around 33.3 and 40, that's the zone, that's the belt of support and resistance. I like to call them the belt of test of strength. The chart, the pullback, the bounce back is testing that downtrend or testing that uptrend. You are free to take a look at these examples and figure out if there are levels which you have found them interesting. I was of the mindset that if I can use anything more statistical in nature to find these levels, I have not come out with anything strong that I can share with you. What I have is this. So, conclusion of this video, can RSI be used to figure out the trend? Yes, but I'll tell you this, use RSI 14. Don't come down to RSI 2 and 3 because those are for pullbacks. This is a different indicator altogether. So using RSI 14, we can define an uptrend or a downtrend, and they are more or less in sync with the chart if I had used an exponential moving average or something. Number two, I can use these levels to create zones of prospective supports and resistances. So yes, one indicator which is supposed to be an oscillator used for overbought and oversold can be used in a completely different way altogether. Okay? So let me know whether you like this concept or not. Are you going to use it and what are your findings? Till then, trade well and take care of yourselves.